Blume edit. The Blume edit. The Blume edit.
The Blume
edit. The Blume edit.
You're listening to The Blume Edit, where we talk all things beauty, business, and being unfiltered. I'm your host, Kia, from Blume Aesthetics. Welcome back to The Blume Edit. I'm your host, Kia. Today's guest is someone who defines what it means to push boundaries and chase dreams with grace. She's a 3-time Olympian, former Australian swim team member, and one of the most decorated relay swimmers we've seen. But beyond the medals, she's also a Perth local navigating a new chapter post-retirement. Brianna Throssell, welcome to the Blume Edit.
Thank you for having me on.
It's a pleasure to have you here while you're visiting Perth. So you don't no longer live here. You live over east, and you've taken the time out of your day or out of your trip to come up to us on the pod.
Yeah, I mean, it's always so special coming back to Perth. I would say Perth is home for me.
Yeah.
I moved to the East Coast, to Queensland to start off with in the end of 2021 for swimming, and I was there for about 3 years. Then I was doing distance with my partner, now fiance, and look, we decided that distance was not for us. So I made the move to Melbourne, and I've been in Melbourne for almost a year now. I can certainly see myself coming back to Perth, like in the long term, but for now, Melbourne is like my temporary home. But in terms of work, like it's got incredible opportunities there, and I am like really enjoying the Melbourne life, but I very much consider Perth home.
Missing home. Well, let's rewind to the start. When did you first fall in love with swimming, and when did you realise this might be more than just a weekend sport?
In all honesty, swimming has been my life for a very, very long time. I know, like, I reflect back, and Mum used to tell me that at 6 months old, I was in a mums and bubs class, and it was genuinely the highlight of my week. She said I was like the happiest little baby in the pool. I just like love splashing around. So that really kickstarted, I guess, my love for the pool. And genuinely, what pursued a career in the pool was my love for the sport. It was never about chasing medals. It was never about pressure from coaches or parents or, peers. It was just my genuine love for chasing the black line and chasing greatness and pushing myself as far as I could. And yeah, I mean, it's led to some incredible things and incredible opportunities, and met the most amazing, successful people, and I feel like I've learned so much from them and grown so much as a person from sort of that chapter of my life.
So you've represented Australia on the world's biggest stage. 3 Olympic Games is no small feat. What did that level of discipline and pressure teach you about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I do reflect back, and I think that 3 Olympics is like, that's almost, 8 to 12 years of doing the same thing day in, day out. But I also look back and I'm like, I never would call what I did sacrifices. I never, went through school thinking, I'm really giving up being able to go to, my friend's birthday party or a sleepover or that sort of thing. It was just an active choice that I made. It was a choice because I wanted to pursue a goal that I had in my mind. And I think that when you reframe things like that, you're not sacrificing something. You're just making a choice because you have a goal in mind. So for me, it was just about perseverance and setting goals and trying to achieve them. If I didn't, it was about resilience. It was about bouncing back. What can I learn from that that was good, that was bad, and move on forward. And the 3 Olympics were all so different. Yeah. I mean, I described Rio, I was young and dumb, and it was so fun. It was just a really fun Olympics. Yeah. I was silly, I was young, but I learned so much from that. And then, COVID 2021, like that, we had 5 years in between Rio and Tokyo, but those games in themselves were just so different. And, it's so incredible to reflect back that I was able to be a part of an Olympic Games that literally will make history.
Yeah.
And we were just ecstatic that the games went ahead, and the swim team and even the wider Australian team performed so well. I think it was equally our best ever Olympic Games in terms of gold medals, on par with the 2000 Olympics, which were our home games. So I think we brought a lot of joy back to Australians and a lot of hope when it was quite an uncertain time that we were all navigating and going through. And then, Paris, I knew it would be my last, so I wanted to go
Go
in,
out with a bang.
Yeah, and like just I guess finish on top, which I'm so proud to say that I did, and I left no stone unturned in that preparation. I really gave it my all, and retiring on that note is something that I am so thankful for. You know, I didn't retire by missing a team or injury or illness or just not enjoying the sport. I loved it so much, and I'm so proud to finish on that note and be able to, you know, walk into the next chapter of my life.
Yeah, amazing. Well, what's something about being an Olympian that people might not expect? Something behind the scenes that might have shaped you day to day?
I think it's the support around us. You know, I think a lot of people think, oh, you know, like, yeah, you have a coach, but we have, you know, 20 support staff that support us day in and day out. And it's the most incredible environment that's created to achieve success. And without those amazing people, whether it's the biomechanist, the physiologist, the dietitian, the coach, the assistant coach, the gym coach, the physio, I wouldn't be the athlete I am today. And a really big game changer for me was sort of in my last few years of the sport, being surrounded and training day in, day out with the most incredible athletes in the world. And I think that really got the best out of me. I think when you surround yourself with such incredible and like-minded people pursuing a really common goal, that just it makes you so
rubs
much.
off on you,
Absolutely. And like it's so relevant in life as well. You know, people say that like you're a reflection of your friends, and it's so true. Like if you're hanging around with drongos, then you're going to be a drongo too. But if you're hanging around with highly successful people in whatever field it may be, you'll be highly successful too.
Matching their energy, matching their level. Yeah, amazing. Well, when you officially announced your retirement, what was that decision like for you emotionally, mentally? Everything.
It was a big decision, and probably one that took quite a few months of really thinking. Post Paris, I knew I was going to take the rest of that year off. I didn't really think about swimming. I didn't really think about future plans. I just wanted, 4 months or so to really have fun. And, going to the Melbourne Cup on a random Tuesday was just so fun. And I've never, ever been able to do that. Or going for a wine on a Friday night. That's something I've never done in my life. So there were like little things that I know seem so insignificant, but were just like so special. And I just wanted to have that the rest of that year and just experience those things, be able to come to Perth, see my family, things like that. So I knew that, I wasn't really making any decisions then. And then sort of the new year rolled around and I knew I had to make some decisions. And I really enjoyed my life outside of the pool. I had completed my degree by then. At the time I just got engaged, and I felt like I was becoming like a much, more rounded person outside of the pool, and I was feeling really fulfilled by that. And the ultimatum came, and I was like, am I willing to go back and forgo this life that I've sort of lived and created to pursue that with the risk of not making another team or not seeing it through to the Olympics? I knew actually I didn't have another 4 years in me to go to LA. So it's like, do I want to just go to Worlds next year or Commies, even if there is a Commonwealth Games? Because I think that was even a little bit up in the air. And ultimately I was like, you know what? I'm actually ready to close that door. I've retired winning an Olympic gold with an Olympic record, having personal bests all that season. I am so happy and content with that. And I feel like if I go back, I'm just going to be scratching and hoping I get there again. Whereas I'm walking away from the pool in love with the sport still and so, so happy. And I think that really made that decision quite easy, and I don't regret it at all.
Amazing. Well, athletes often speak about identity after elite sport like yourself. How have you navigated finding who Brianna is outside of the pool?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and something that was probably instilled in me when I was quite young from my parents is that they made me very well aware that swimming was never going to be forever. And they always placed a really high importance on, say, my education in school, encouraged me to pursue sort of a passion outside of swimming, whatever that may have been. And initially out of school, I started a degree in physio and pre-med, thinking that maybe I wanted to do that after swimming, but it wasn't really for me, and you also couldn't really juggle the two. So I did a degree in business, and at the time, when I was living in Perth, I actually had a dress hire business that certainly kept me on my toes. I mean, and in that itself was an incredible experience. Like we went shop front in Cottesloe. I had 5 employees. So yeah, just like I made sure that like my buckets were full outside of the pool as well without detracting from swimming. So I knew that I had other facets of my life that once that chapter was closed in swimming, I'd be like, okay, well, look, I've achieved X, Y, Z. What did I enjoy? And let's pursue that rather than just only focusing on swimming. Once that door's shut, it's like, well, I don't have a degree. I've never really had a job. I don't really know what my interests and hobbies and passions are. So I always made sure that I had other things happening outside of swimming that I could, I guess, lean on when the time was right to finish.
And I think in our generation, like we've seen people probably in front of us make that mistake and just pigeonhole themselves down that sort of one road ending and then get to that end and it's like it was all for nothing. Not that it was all for nothing, but now what sort of thing. Whereas you set yourself up for success and
and I guess like the one concern is like for elite athletes that's all they've known. Like I do get concerned for them. It's like, well, like I hope they have a plan of what after, because when it is your whole life and your whole identity and it's your friendship group, it's all like closing that door is really challenging. So I guess like I made sure that I had things in place for that time.
Yeah. Well, you spent years training at an elite level. What does your relationship with wellness look like now without that rigid schedule?
I think I'm one that's always going to have a very structured wellness routine, because that at the end of the day is what makes me feel really good. In full transparency, this morning I rolled out of bed and I had to be on my laptop at 5:30 because I'm working on Melbourne time, and I felt asleep the whole day because my routine is that I will always exercise before work, no matter what it be. Like if it's gym, Pilates, a run, even just like a nice brisk walk, that's what wakes me up for the day. That's what gets me energized. It wakes up my brain, it wakes up my body, it releases endorphins, and I feel fantastic. Whereas like today I felt so sluggish. And I know that that's what makes me feel good. So I do that. And I guess like in my job now, I am never sure like what time I'm going to finish. So I always know that if I've got my workout in the morning, then if I do need to work late at night, I don't need to be like, I need to get to the gym class, or I need to get my run in. I can just work late and it is what it is. So that being said, I still take my my sleep very seriously. I wear my Whoop, just I don't know why, but I do. I guess like I like to know that I'm rocking up to work or rocking up for my run, like trying to be in the best sort of shape physically, mentally as possible as I can. I love sleep, and I feel like sleep is one of the biggest things for recovery and mental alertness. So I take that very seriously. And just like making sure I do have that downtime or that switch off time, trying not to go on my phone first thing in the morning or late at night in bed. Just like when I'm in Perth, I spend a lot of time with my dog, being outdoors, getting vitamin D. Fresh air is something that I love. I know like if I'm working in the office all day, like I'll always go out at my lunch break and like just like if it's just a walk around the block or something, just like to see sunlight, to get fresh air, and then I'm like it wakes me up for the afternoon. So yeah, they're my little rituals that sort of I guess make me feel the best self I can be.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's talk beauty, because here at Blume we love to ask, how has your skincare or self-care routine evolved now that you're not in chlorine every day?
Yeah, wow. It's funny. I felt like my skin would be so much worse after spending like 20 years in an acid bath. But our biggest thing is sun exposure.
Yeah, of course.
Like it is sort of unavoidable in what we do. As much as we put sunscreen on, like if we're spending 3 hours in the water, it is going to come off. So sun exposure has been obviously quite bad throughout my life, which is why it's in particular my face. So I try to minimize that now. But I guess the other thing that I probably didn't do when I was swimming was to put many active ingredients on my skin, because, we're in chlorine all day, every day. So I try to keep my routine very, very minimalistic. Whereas now I'm like, oh, I can explore my retinols and my hyaluronic acids and my vitamin C's and like my BHAs and AHAs. So I feel like my skincare is really evolving, which is exciting. And it's always fun trying new things. Like I'm a bit of a sucker for like TikTok marketing. I'm like, oh, what are they recommending now? What are the latest things at Mecca that I can buy? So it is, really great being able to explore them without sort of the risk of, like flaring it up with chlorine. Sensitivity with chlorine and sun. So,
Well, right now you're prepping for your wedding. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what treatments are you implementing to get you ready for the big day?
Sunscreen. Minimizing sun and sunscreen are my two biggest, I guess, treatments. Yeah. I've just had Redurin, which I'm like a big fan of. Yeah. And for me, like could be from wearing goggles all the time that sit underneath my eyes, but very dark under my eyes. And it's like something I guess I've always been like a little bit self-conscious of. But it also, and it's not because I lack of sleep. Like the more sleep I get, they're still there. So I guess like that's what I'm really trying to work on, staying out of the sun, keeping my skin super hydrated. That was another thing in swimming that chlorine just dries your skin out like crazy. But I still now just try to keep it really hydrated because I feel like that's also like great long term as well. Like keeps it looking youthful if it's moisturized. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, looking back, what are you most proud of? Not just in terms of medals or titles, but as a woman, as a teammate, and as a overall role model.
Oh, that's a big question. I guess I'm proud of, in all honesty, this year I'm so proud of navigating the transition. I really feel like I've found my place at work. I'm loving work, and it's just a really different position to where I was 12 months ago. That being said, throughout my swimming career, I was, really proud of how big a team player I was. I was very active on the relays, and I always felt like I performed my best when I knew that I was doing it for other people because, there's 4 girls in a relay and I had 3 of them screaming behind the blocks at me to to get my hand on the wall. So I would always lift for a relay because you're not just doing it for yourself anymore. You're doing it for the girls. You're doing it for the country. So, I'm really proud of being like a massive team player.
The transition you've gone through is not something that many people would have to do in their lifetime, So we talk about changing jobs or I've spoken in previous podcasts about going from, say, hospital nursing into my own business, which is a big jump. But for you, it's like, without saying it was your identity, it's sort of leaving part of your life behind. So you should be proud of that. That is something. That is something to be proud of.
Thanks.
You've inspired so many young athletes, especially girls in sport. What advice would you give to those chasing a big goal right now?
I would say to believe in yourself. I genuinely felt it wasn't until I was, in my last sort of 2 years in the sport where I really believed in myself. And I think that belief stemmed a lot from the coach I had. He just had 110% belief in me, and that made me believe in myself. And I wish that I had that when I was younger. And I also think just don't be afraid to follow your dreams, because if I look back at when I was 12 years old, or even when I was 16, and that was a really pivotal moment in my career. I saw the London Olympic team be announced, and I thought to myself, wow, in 4 years' time when the Rio team gets announced, I want that to be me. So at the age of 16, I was really pursuing that. But had I thought that I would be going to 3 Olympics and winning Olympic gold medal, never in my wildest dreams. So I think no dream is too big.
What does life post-swimming look like now? Is there any exciting things apart from the wedding on the horizon for you?
Not really. I feel like I'm really just trying to find my feet and navigate that transition. That being said, I always make sure that I'm having fun here and there, and I feel like it's wedding season, so there's always weddings to attend to, and I love setting goals. Like that's just something that's always going to be a big part of my life. And so I have very, structured goals at work, and then outside of work, I have taken up running. For me, that's like my little bit of I feel like when I go for a run, I can just absolute mental release.
Yeah, zone out.
Yeah. It's amazing. So within that, I've set goals and a few I ran a marathon early this year, and just challenging myself in other ways outside of work. but also trying to just like find my feet, find my place at work, navigate the transition, and yeah.
Well, Brianna, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Your honesty, drive, and humility are what truly makes you iconic. For everybody listening, follow Brianna's journey as she continues to inspire in and out of water. And as always, subscribe for more episodes of The Blume Edit. We'll see you next time. This is The Blume Edit, unfiltered, unscripted, and unapologetic. Subscribe now and tune in weekly.